To talk to you about getting venture capital type returns from junior miners. I've used my system, which I'm about to outline to you, successfully for several years. Last year I converted 192,000 into over £790,000 in less than 9 months using the system I'm about to tell you about. And what I like about the junior mining sector is, they're producing commodities that you can't print. They are tangible, whether it's gold, silver, platinum, palladium, cobalt, copper, whatever the commodity is. And I think in this day and age, with so much money being printed, I feel far more comfortable investing in tangible things. So let me just quickly canter you through what I've done, and you may be interested. If you are, there's some contact details at the end, so please get in touch. First of all, if you look at sort of what I view as a sort of more boring pedestrian producers, back in the last depression, fingers crossed we don't have another depression, but if we do, I just want to show what can happen even in dire markets. As you can see, Homestake mining went up 474%, and Dome Mines went up 558% in a relatively short period of time. So when markets do get smashed and gold and silver become sort of more important to people, obviously there's no guarantees, but some of these producers can do extraordinarily well. And this is just producers. I also get involved in other companies that are sort of exploring or very new to production, and these are obviously seasoned producers. So let's talk about the system. The system, I call it the 3R system. It's very simple. Resources, you obviously need to have some time and some money to get involved. And then I provide the research and help you with the risk management to make sure that you're looking at companies that suit your appetite for risk. I'd like you to have a diversified portfolio, so not all your eggs are in one basket. The research is, I've been working in this sector for over 20 years. I know the companies pretty well. Some of them I know very well. And so what I'm looking to do really is help you sort of take a shortcut to success rather than spend the next 20 years sort of looking at the industry. So I'm helping you with my knowledge if it's an area that could be of interest to you. Now, I split it broadly into two categories, producers and explorers. I'll go into that in a bit more detail later. But broadly speaking, producers tend to be lower risk than explorers, and you really need a bit of both. You want to have a diversified portfolio, so I think it's nice to have a few producers and a few explorers, so you can benefit depending on what happens with the commodity price and any exploration success. Now, just going through the research, I provide each company that I tell you about in a certain way. I use what I call the bridge system, which takes you through their balance sheet, their resources, their infrastructure, diversification, grade, and exploration potential. Just very quickly, the balance sheet, I like to make sure it's right for the company. If it's a producer, then I'm quite relaxed about there being some debt. But if it's an explorer, then I'm quite nervous about debt because they're not producing cash, and therefore, question mark, how they're going to pay off the debt. The resources, what do they already have? Are they likely to have more? And I think it's very important to also have resources in what I would view as a safe jurisdiction. So for me, that's Australia, Canada, and the US. Infrastructure, this is more to do with roads, rail, power, water. I like there to be those sort of, that infrastructure around the deposit or the area that they're exploring, because if there isn't, then they've got to pay for it to put it in place, and infrastructure can be very expensive. and be off-putting to investors. Diversity is more a case of having a diversified portfolio that suits your appetite for risk. And grade, I want to know if it's economic or not. And exploration, I like there to be plenty of potential. They're not always going to find what they're looking for, but when they do, it can be quite exciting. Now let's go on to the risk management. I try and explain this in a sort of fantasy football type format. The stadium being the physical metals, which I would view as the lowest risk. The goalkeepers tend to be the sort of largest mining companies, the Barracks of the world and Wheaton Precious Metals. Defenders tend to be more mid-tier producers, smaller producers, but quite often have been producing for a long time. Midfielders are sort of either new or close to production, and forwards are your sort of out-and-out explorers, which are your kind of highest risk. But they've typically got market values of less than 100 million. But if they find something, it can be quite exciting. But yeah, at the end of the day, your investments must match your appetite for risk. And so this is something you need to have a good think about if it's an area you want to get involved in. Personally speaking, I like to have a bit of everything, but that's very much up to you. Now, what can happen if you get it right? I mean, Chalice, I told people about that when I think it was about 15.5 cents. This graph is slightly old, it's now over $9. And then as you can see, I've got some other stocks that have done well. I've actually updated this. I'm going to have a new version out in a couple of weeks, so if you'd like to see that, please get in touch. So just to wrap up, I mean, I think there is a recipe for success, but you need the right ingredients. There's clearly no guarantees, but I think it makes sense to have at least some of your portfolio in commodities. I know a lot of people have got none, and question to you is how much do you have? If you want more information, please contact me. My email is simonpopple@brookvillecapital.com, and we can have a chat and find out sort of how I can help you. And I think it's important you read this as well. I'm unregulated, so anything you do, you need to speak to your financial advisor about. And but please get in touch if you'd like to find out more. I very much look forward to hearing